Hi everyone, Joe Wright here, and I have another video for you, this time talking about why Christmas is perfect for identifying energy savings. Okay, so Christmas Day, a time for family, celebration, remembering the real reason for the season, and surprisingly, a perfect opportunity to uncover hidden energy savings in your organization. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so many organizations either shut down completely or run at a significantly reduced capacity over Christmas. So this won't affect everyone, but you'll know if it affects you or not. Okay, so some common ones will be offices, retail. So you might shut down on Christmas Day only, or you might shut down for a period. Manufacturing sites, leisure facilities like gyms and leisure centers that have got swimming pools and these sorts of things. These will often have a shutdown period on Christmas Day and or a bit more time over the Christmas holiday period. So why is the shutdown important for you? Well, first of all, it will give your staff a much needed break. But as it relates to energy, because you will have a shutdown, you should be able to strip out the variable loads at your site. So these are things like lighting, production machinery, and office equipment, which are usually running during normal operational hours. Okay, so what you're left with is a base load consumption. So this is the constant demand for energy that runs regardless of activity. So the energy your site consumes even when no one is there and nothing is supposedly running. Okay, so why does the base load matter? So base load consumption matters because it represents systems and processes that operate 24/7. So these are things like HVAC systems, so heating, ventilation and cooling, servers. These are critical parts of your IT infrastructure, so you will not turn these off. It's a similar thing with refrigeration. You won't turn off your fridges and freezers. Security systems, these will all stay on, and these will represent part of your baseload consumption, okay? So when you know your baseload, you can identify whether it's too high and pinpoint exactly where energy is being used, okay? So once you isolate your baseload, you get a clearer picture of your minimum energy requirements. And once you identify it, you can compare it to other low consumption periods like weekends or public holidays, whatever the case might be for your particular situation. So you can begin to determine if your baseload is consistent or if there are any unexpected spikes which would indicate wasted energy at the facility. So your baseload should be comparatively lower than your operational consumption. If it isn't, then you've got room for improvement, which basically means you have savings in terms of energy and costs which you can make. Okay, so you might be wondering, how can I find out how much I use on a specific day? Right, well, the answer to that is you'll need something called half-hourly data, or sometimes called HH data for short. And I'll tell you why HH data is such a powerful tool compared to your standard monthly energy bill. Okay, so a monthly invoice will give you one big number. Okay, so your total energy consumption. That's probably what you're used to seeing. You see an invoice for how much electricity you're using and you pay for it. Okay, now here's the thing. If your consumption goes up, you just have a big figure with no detail. You won't know why it happened, when it happened during the month, and where it happened. So if you compare that to half-hourly data, which breaks down your energy usage into 30-minute intervals, let's say, for example, you spot a peak at 2 a.m. on Christmas Day, on Christmas morning, okay? So you have no staff on site, you have no production running. So what's causing the spike? Is it equipment left running when it shouldn't be? Is it HVAC systems not set back properly? Has somebody come in when they shouldn't have come in to have a party or something? Who knows? Without half-hourly data, you won't know. With it, you can pinpoint those anomalies, address them, and stop energy waste at the source. So essentially, when you have half-hourly data, you can find out, as it relates to anomalies, you can find out when it happened, because it will give you the time frame, the window, okay? Where it happened, because you can use that information to trace what was happening, what was on around that time, and then you can figure out why it happened, and most importantly, put a stop to it. Okay, so you can't do any of that with just a monthly invoice figure. Now, One of the best things that you can do for energy management, sustainability, net zero and beyond is to sort out your data. The better your data is, the easier things will be. And so when you move from just looking at your invoice data down to half-hourly data, which is more granular, then you can get insights that you would not be able to get from just the higher level thinking, okay? So if you're on a half-hourly meter, this data is available to you, either from your energy supplier or if they've got one through their online energy management platform. Okay, so lots of the suppliers, whether it's E.ON, whether it's British Gas, whoever it is, they often have an online portal and you can go in, select the meter, and then download your half-hourly data. So it should be there for you, okay? So how do you know if you have a half-hourly meter? Well, your MPAN, something called your MPAN will tell you, okay? So the MPAN, this stands for your meter point administration number, okay? So essentially, it's a unique 21-digit number that identifies an electricity supply point in Great Britain, okay? If you're in a different country, then it might be something else. But here in the UK, it's called an MPAN. Now, it's also called an S number or a supply number, but most people generally refer to it as your MPAN number. And this is not to be confused with a meter serial number. That's something different. So don't get confused. If you want to figure out what your, if your meter is a half-hourly meter or not, then you can check your MPAN number, which should be on your invoice. So on your invoice, you'll have an MPAN, and you'll have something called a profile class. Okay, and that should be 00. If your profile class is 00, then you know you have a half-hourly meter. Okay, now I may have mentioned some things which are new to you, and so if you're still struggling, then send a copy of one of your electricity invoices to hello@allaboutenergy.co, and I'll have a look. I'll find out where your MPAN is, and I'll let you know if you've got a half-hourly meter or not. Okay. So what if you don't have a half-hourly meter? Well, the good thing is all suppliers will soon have one. And when I say soon, that will vary, and I'll explain. Okay, so here in the UK, they're rolling out something called a market-wide half-hourly settlement, and that basically means that all meters in the UK will be switched to half-hourly meters. Okay, so the ones that are fine. The ones that are what we call non-half-hourly or NHH, those will all be switched over to half-hourly. Now that process is supposed to start, I say supposed to because you never know with these things, is due to start in April 2025, so next year in a few months time, okay? And then it's due to finish in 2026. I say supposed to because there are 30 million non-half-hourly meters that need to get switched over. So as you can imagine, that's a big project. Lots of work needs to be done. And if you're on a non-half-hourly meter, you won't necessarily know right now where you are in that queue. Okay, but it is happening. Right, so I've been talking about half-hourly data over the Christmas period because we're around that Christmas period. However, what you should be doing is analyzing your half-hourly data all the time. If your analysis indicates that the base load is higher than it should be at Christmas, it may be higher all year round, okay? And that's resulting in significant overuse of energy and therefore overspend, okay? Which means significant savings, okay? Now, it could be from inefficient HVAC settings, it could be from equipment running when it doesn't need to be, or something else, okay? Now, these are all low-cost initiatives which can have a high impact. And all it takes is you looking at the data which is already available to you. So what's next? Essentially, you've got two options, okay? You've got DIY or you've got outsource, okay? So if you've got access to the half-hourly data, you can start by analyzing your energy usage over Christmas Day, compare it to weekends or other low demand days for you, whatever is a low demand day or period for your sector, for your organization. Plot your base load and look for inconsistencies. Okay, so are there spikes or anomalies that shouldn't be there? Identify the culprits and then take action to optimize your systems. And again, it could be programming your HVAC to scale back during shutdowns, ensuring that all non-essential equipment is switched off, and using things like timers or automation to manage overnight loads. And that's something that I would do in my house as well. Okay, so I've got automation that switches off, you know, lights and power sockets and all things at night time. So I mean, this is one of the simple things that you can do. Okay, so you have the data, it's yours, and so you might as well use it. Okay, to make these savings, which are really simple to do. So the other option is to outsource, and I get why you want to do that. I mean, I'm the same. For example, I don't like DIY. Okay, I just don't like it. I'm not good at it, and so I just get people to do it for me. Okay, so for example, my daughter's bedroom needed to be painted and decorated, and so I had some painters come in and they did it in 2 days and it was all done. No stress from me. I let the experts handle everything. I want the result. I don't have to do the work myself, and you might be the same. Okay, and if that's the case, then you might not necessarily want to do all this analysis stuff and get the data and analyze it, look for savings, but you want the savings themselves. Okay, so if you don't have the tools, you don't have the time or the expertise to analyze the half-hourly data, consider just outsourcing this to professionals. Okay, so an expert energy consultant can grab the data, identify the inefficiencies, analyze the trends, and provide tailored recommendations to optimize your base loads. Okay, now these are often quick and easy wins that you didn't even know existed. And it could be as simple as just signing an LOA, a letter of authority, and that will give your consultant, like me, for example, it doesn't have to be me, it could be anybody. But with that, I can contact the supplier on your behalf, grab the data, do all the work, and let you know the result. And I can even set up things called profile alarms. Half-hourly data is sometimes called profile data. Okay, so I can set up profile alarms so I can be emailed, or you can be emailed when you have consumption which is outside of the normal range, and the normal range will be determined by what we see when we look at your data, and it could be that simple. Okay, so there you have it. Christmas, great time for family and other things, but also an ideal opportunity to find energy savings that are pretty simple and easy to implement. Okay, so with that, hope you enjoy your Christmas, and I'll see you on the next video.